This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA, to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
Hello and welcome to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, where we talk the latest and greatest news in the world of sports. As always, I'm Alex.
And I'm Anthony.
And we're back here for another fun-filled day of sports news. Today is a Thursday show, so that means we're going to preview the Thursday night football game between the Houston Texans and the New England Patriots. We're also going to update everybody on some injury news that we've been talking about all week, between more so for sure news now for Peterson, some more injury news out of Cleveland, and somebody we've talked about a lot on this show finally actually practicing with his team. We will update you on the MLB races as I did at the beginning of this week. Looks like most of these division races are kind of decided, so we'll look heavily at the wild card races that aren't quite as cut and dry. And then we'll talk about Kevin Garnett at the end of the show, who may or may not be retiring. We'll have to see about that. But let's start with injuries. Let's talk Adrian Peterson. Adrian Peterson has been confirmed to have knee surgery today. It's Thursday, so today the 22nd. He's having knee surgery. He also has a torn LCL. It's being reported. Now, some people are saying no torn LCL, just a sprained LCL. Either way, apparently he's going to be out for upwards to 3 to 4 months. It's not a good sign. No, not a good sign at all. And, I mean, basically the only reason that we think that Peterson will play this year is because he's Adrian Peterson. Mm-hmm. Like, if it was anybody else, if it was Melvin Gordon, if it was, like, anybody else in the league, we would just be like, oh, yeah, no, they're dead, yeah.
Like, with him, because we've seen him be a freak of nature, tear his ACL, come back really soon, and lead the league in rushing. So, you know, he's probably gone for most of the year, if not the whole year, but we just hold out hope because he's Peterson. Well, after today's surgery, they'll have really an idea more so on a timetable because they'll actually get an actual answer as to what's wrong. But Coach Zimmer said he could miss the rest of the season, could be 3 to 4 weeks. Who knows? So I mean, they haven't necessarily straight up said what happened to him. I did see yesterday. Oh, it's a torn LCL. Oh no, it's a sprained LCL. And I was like, well, somebody not tell me so I don't have to keep looking to make sure what I hear is right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, he said once he actually has the surgery, then we'll have a better idea of what it is because they actually get inside, say, oh, okay, so it's just this. But, now they have to prepare, the Vikings do, for the year without him. Mm-hmm. He didn't get off to a good start. He only had, 31 attempts for 50 yards, like not even 2 yards a carry. If that, yeah. He's 31 years old. So, he kind of knew, again, even though it's Peterson, you had to accept life without him soon enough. And, now they have Sam Bradford because Bridgewater just destroyed his leg. His knee also. Yeah, he destroyed his knee. So, they're just totally, whatever they decided they were going to do, in training camp, 100% different now. Mm-hmm. So, he's 31 years old. He's going to come off his second surgery, at least on his knee, at least in the last few years. So, maybe his backup can do well. Maybe they'll do fine without him. But now they're going to start running a little bit more shotgun offenses without him because he likes to do the I formation where he can get a running start. So, now this whole team, if he does come back, call it week 15, 16, or even if they make it to the playoffs, the offense may not even be the same. Yeah, the only thing we know for sure is that he does have a torn meniscus. There's a report on the LCL. We don't know for sure. Then Justine Anderson, somebody who did say, came out and that Peterson texted her and said, no, it's not torn, said that it's what's called a bucket handle tear of your meniscus, which is typically a minimum recovery time of 3 to 4 months. So either way, he's going to be missing some time. So it is on the shoulders of Matt Asiata and Jerick McKinnon to take the workload off of his shoulders. All right, moving to the AFC and the AFC North, and what, for those of you who listen to the football show, what Jeremiah calls the Browns that keep browning. It's just they keep being the Browns. Yes, they do. Wide receiver, first-round pick, 15 overall this year in the April. Yeah, it was April this year, I think, right? It was still April? right?
Normally was.
Yeah.
But they started changing the time. Throws me off. In April's draft for the Browns, wide receiver Corey Coleman from Baylor. He is out 4 to 6 weeks with a fractured hand. He broke it in practice.
Yeah, and he's leading the team, in receiving yards, was 173 yards.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a couple touchdowns, was doing well for the Browns.
Yeah, he had a really good game last week.
Yeah.
104 and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, so he's shown progress. Like, he's shown that he can actually do something in the league. He, had a couple of good games. Now with the Browns, you have to deal with, now they're going to be on their third-string quarterback. With Cody Kessler, you got clipboard Jesus behind him in case. You got Terrell Pryor. Like, the options aren't looking good. God, I feel bad for Hugh Jackson.
Yeah,
he got dealt a bad hand.
As a first year so far, he lost obviously Robert Griffin III in week 1 with a broken bone in his left shoulder. He's placed on injured reserve. They haven't clarified if it's injured reserve with intent to come back or not because you don't have to clarify it right away now. They lose Josh McCown last week with an injury in his shoulder. Their starting center Cameron Irving spent the night in the hospital last night.
God.
Defensive lineman Carl Nassib had surgery to repair a broken bone in one of his hands and will miss at least a week. It's a little different when you're not a receiver. They can play, but they just have the injury bug from day one, from literally week 1.
Exactly, from week 1. And Griffin, I guess you could say you could see that coming because I loved Robert Griffin when he was in Washington. I have never seen a person get hit that hard so many times.
It's like I talked about it with Wentz. I forget if that was yesterday or the day before that for the first time. But
right.
The dude needs to take notes from him, and he's a little bigger than him. But, this is what happens when you don't slide.
Yeah, Andrew Luck gets hurt and stuff.
Not everybody's Andrew Luck's size.
Right, and Luck's also, a giant person. Griffin would, run around and, I just don't know if he doesn't know how to slide or never did it, but he would get just hit the hardest I've ever seen by a quarterback.
I think it's because he's so quick that he would kind of go down in a certain way.
Right.
And his body would, it would flail, and you'd get some of those reacting injuries,
Yeah.
But I know what you mean. I was all surprised he ran out of bounds on on the run of the runs, his first long run with that pump fake.
Right.
In week 1, I was like, wow, he's getting smarter. And then, no, never mind.
Yep, it still hurt.
I was wrong.
Right.
Well, man, heading into week 3, game 3, literally their third game of the year. The Browns have lost both of their 2 first starting quarterbacks, their first round pick and their third round pick.
It's a solid year so far.
That's a Browns year right there.
They're going to get a high draft pick, which you could have probably said before the year started. But, yeah, so it's just – now they have the Dolphins coming up in Miami. They're at Washington. So the next 2 games, not against the greatest teams. So maybe they can get a win or 2. But, at this point, if you're a Browns fan, do you want them to, win a lot of games? Or are you just kind of, in your head, they're just, 4-12? Is your
Play for quarterback?
Yes. But the quarterbacks have gotten before, be it Brady Quinn or Johnny Manziel or whoever else, not been the best.
That's what they get for taking him at 22, though.
They took both of them at 22, and Brady Quinn, they took both of them at 22. And, I loved Manziel in college, but in the pros,
he sucked.
He's been kind of terrible.
Kind of is an understatement.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of high draft picks, the Chargers' Joey Bosa is finally back with the team. He practiced in full pads with his teammates yesterday. He had and I called this too when he finally just signed his deal. I was like, man, this guy's gonna get hurt. You can be in condition, but you're not in football condition. It's a different kind of conditioning.
Right.
He had an injury in his hamstring since the end of his contract dispute going all the way to August 29th. And he only had 1 practice under his belt, actually in a helmet and a jersey and shorts the following day. But yeah, I don't know if he's going to play this weekend. The Chargers just have 9 padded practices remaining this entire season because of the way they change stuff. And Bosa apparently only participated in 3 defensive drives in that game. Before, they're going into something else. Sorry, that's what I was reading. They're talking about the last time he actually put on pads was when the Fiesta Bowl was going, and that's when he only played 3 drives. So it's been a while since he's been in pads, and it's still day to day. I don't think he's going to play this week. Again, in the football show, I told Jeremiah it's not as tricky of a thing because he's a pass rusher.
Right.
Just put him in there and tell him to rush the passer.
Yeah, worst case scenario, you can play him like the Cardinals did with Dwight Freeney last year.
I was just thinking the same thing. Yeah,
you can just give him 10, 15 plays or whatever, and it's just okay, you go nuts.
Yeah, just pass rush.
Yeah.
You do your moves, but hold outside priority or into whatever they tell him to do.
Yeah.
But then just go pass rush.
Yeah, because if he plays a couple of snaps but gets a sack and a half, everyone will say, be like, oh, okay, he's great.
Oh,
like,
okay, yeah, here we
that's
go.
not going to matter. Yeah, because all you need are like a couple of like great plays for his defensive end. And
Yeah,
that's
exactly. Just put him in, just pass rush him. You know, it's not like he has to learn. I mean, there are things he has to learn, obviously, but
Right.
in that sense, it's the easiest thing for him to do out of any of the positions where, like, you can't put him in the corner spot and just be like, okay, go play.
Yeah. Yeah, there's Odell Beckham. Cover him.
Right.
See how that goes.
You can't, especially if you're a middle linebacker, but, you know, certain
Yeah.
linebackers, you can't put them in and be like, okay, go play because you have the calls, you have the check calls and everything. On the D-line, and I'm not taking away from anything saying the D-line's easy or anything.
No, of course
As
not.
long as he knows, like, the protection schemes, you know, in terms of calls and blitz schemes and things of that nature, as long as he knows those, which he should, because if you can't practice, you should at least be learning those.
Right.
Then all you got to do is go rush.
Yeah. He, you know, like you said, he had the contract holdout for a while. August 29th, finally signed his deal. August 30th, literally the next day, hurt his hamstring, been limited ever since, not being able to practice, just kind of out there, like you said, hopefully learning the plays. And, you know, now if he does play, you know, he's going to be playing against the Indianapolis Colts.
Not a great offensive line.
No, terrible offensive line. And maybe, you know, like I said, if he can get to Andrew Luck once or twice, then all of a sudden we're going to be like, oh, okay, cool, good for you. But, you know, he's going to have a bit of a, you know, learning curve for this because, like you said, being a rookie, there's a difference between being in shape and being in football shape.
Yeah.
You're going to get hit all the time, especially if you're defensive line. You're going to bang against the offensive line. So, you know, even if his hamstring's okay, they can still push him around if it's not 100%.
Yeah, I definitely think so. Like, again, I don't know. This doesn't really say anything in terms of he's listed day-to-day. This says nothing about him playing this week, so
Right.
I have to see how that goes as the week goes on, if there's any news tomorrow for you guys to mention.
And even if he doesn't play against the Colts, he has the Saints the week after.
Two bad offensive lines.
Yeah,
And those
so-
are two good quarterbacks to get your first sacks on
Exactly.
if you can swing that. Those are two good quarterbacks. Well, you mentioned the Colts, and they are part, of course, of the AFC South. Let's move to the leader of the AFC South right now. That's Houston Texans, who are taking on the New England Patriots tonight, both 2-0 today so far on the season. It looks like Jacoby Brissett's going to be the starter tonight, which means that Julian Edelman's going to be the emergency quarterback. Again, they didn't bring anybody else in. They didn't bring another quarterback in, so I imagine that, say, Garoppolo doesn't start,
Right.
I bet you he's dressed still.
Yeah, because also it's the Patriots, so they just want to play mind games. So you can see him probably still. Like, they won't say anything because they've been trying to get him to practice and play the whole week, just trying to give him the whole, like, no, come on, that's what Brady did. Brady's great. See, Brady, he practiced through stuff like this. He played through stuff like this. And, you know, they're trying to at least maybe trick the media and say, like, oh, he could play, even though apparently he can't even lift his right shoulder.
Yeah, well, I know McCown for sure couldn't lift his shoulder.
McCown could, yeah.
I know. I
And-
didn't hear anything about that, but I mean, as far as I know,
Yeah.
it wouldn't make sense. He sprained it.
Yeah,
so.
like he looked like he hurt it pretty bad. And like,
Oh, yeah, he got smoked on that play.
yeah, so like, you know, they're hoping he can play. I kind of want him to play because they at least have an idea of what they're going to get behind him. Brissett, it's total unknown.
Yeah,
Like, they put him in
for sure.
Yeah, he had like 92 yards or something like that in week 2.
But he didn't play horribly.
He didn't play terribly, but
I mean, he didn't look good in the preseason too.
right. And it's just one of those other unknowns because, like, you knew Brady wasn't playing, so you're like, all right, Garoppolo, we're going to totally invest in you for 4 weeks because that's all they really need him for.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, you know, they basically need worst case from Garoppolo. Go out and play today. We're just going to cortisone your arm, or your shoulder. Just go out there, and then worst case scenario next Sunday play, and then you can take a nap for the rest of the year. You know, after that, we don't care.
You can just chill on the bench with your arms up. You know, you can talk to the cheerleaders if you want.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, as of right now, their injury report, as stands, is Cushing is still out. Braxton Miller, rookie receiver out of Ohio State, is still out. Their starting left tackle Dwayne Brown is still out. J.J. Watt's questionable. He's been playing, so of course that's just how it goes.
Right, because now you don't have problems.
Yeah.
Now it just goes straight to questionable.
Exactly. Now with the players that besides defense, Feeney and Hightower are both questionable. They'll probably play. They're linebackers. Jonathan Cooper is questionable. He'll probably play. Jimmy Garoppolo is listed as of yesterday as doubtful.
Yeah.
So, I mean, imagine one would assume. You know what I mean? Excuse me. Now, one thing that would be beneficial for whoever started, because Garoppolo hasn't got him yet, but Brissett for sure is having Jimmy Garoppolo again, is having Rob Gronkowski play.
Right.
He's listed as questionable as of yesterday. If he can get into this game, that's huge for Brissett.
Yeah, I saw something recently from Ian Rappaport of NFL Network. How long ago?
Love that guy.
He had 4:53 a.m. today,
Uh-huh.
said, who sat out Gronkowski, who sat out the first 2 games, is a game-time decision. There's a real chance that he makes his debut. So they're at least hoping you can have him out there so that way you can have both Gronk and Bennett.
Yeah.
So that way you can have something that's just like a safety valve for either Garoppolo or Brissett.
Exactly,
just as someone who can just be like, if everything else goes south, you have those 2 guys who are just pterodactyl beasts to begin with, like something just to help you out.
Mm-hmm. And as I say, I don't know what I want to be true more is that Rappaport was up at 4 in the morning, or that it was East Coast and he was up at 7.
I mean, it's 4:53 in the morning. Like that's not Adam Schefter life. No, like it's just like you're always awake and your phone just goes off whenever.
That's the
like
Schefter life.
You get like an hour and a half of sleep, like maybe, and just like break all these stories at random times.
Who do you have winning this game? Because Osweiler, I mean, he's played well and he's played bad. He's got just under 1 yard under 500 passing. He's got 3 touchdowns, but he got 3 interceptions. Mm-hmm. If Garoppolo was starting, I'd say, man, he's having exactly what they wanted him to do. 496, 4 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. It's exactly what they wanted from him. But again, I find it very hard to believe he's going to start tonight.
Right.
Lamar Miller's been pretty good for the Texans. Will Fuller, along with DeAndre Hopkins, they finally have 2 solid receivers, let alone when Braxton Miller comes back, who is one of those good change of pace kind of speedy guys. He's been playing well also. And then in the flip-flop, you have the Patriots, and again, if Brissett starts, it's kind of going to probably be more so of a one-dimensional offense. I would imagine a lot going through Garrett Blount, 193 yards and 2 touchdowns so far this year. Mm-hmm. And then Edelman, I mean, if you got Edelman on fantasy, I don't know. Do you play him with the possibility of him going in quarterback, or do you just, because the fact that who knows if Brissett's going to be able to get him the ball. So it's going to be a weird game. I think I picked Houston to win this game purely because I don't know if Brissett, if you can go down to your third quarterback and legitimately win this game. Yeah. Houston Texans have a good defense. Their offense is better than has been in the last few years, even if Osweiler's not breaking any, single season records for the team yet. He's not playing horrible. He's got 2 wins already. So yeah,
exactly. He's kind of not the same role, but close to the same role he had last year with Denver, where it's just like, okay, your defense, that's good. You got J.J. Watt, Clowney, you had Cushing, but that defense is really good. Just don't have any disaster plays. You got a good running back in Lamar Miller. You have good wide receivers, like you said. I would pick that team over the Patriots just because short week, you know who your quarterback is, so you at least have all the reps for that. There's no, wondering, maybe Garoppolo can play. Osweiler's going to be the guy. You got a good offense. You got a good defense. If I had to pick, I would pick them, even though the Patriots, I thought they'd lose in week 1. So
that game was wacky.
Yeah.
I mean, this defense has played, like I said, they're only giving up 297 total yards average of offense right now.
Yeah.
Their passing yards again isn't great, but they're winning games, So I have the Texans winning this one. You say Texans too?
Yeah, if I had to bet on it and be right, I would say that. I would say the Texans.
What's interesting is, so isn't every Thursday the Color Rush? Mm-hmm. Aren't these jerseys exactly the same?
It's not too much different.
The Patriots is a blue version of that red one they used to wear, the throwback one from the 80s. Yeah. And the Texans is just a full blue of their already home jerseys.
Yeah, it's not the only difference is it's just all one color.
Yeah, and it almost looks deeper blue, but they have the pants to match.
Yeah, it's not that much of a difference, as far as it goes. It's just something that the NFL trots out. It's hey, we have new, jerseys. Take a look at this.
But I say the problem last year was, we had a problem when it was red and green. Understandably. I'm not colorblind, and I feel bad for people that are. Of course, I can't speak on that because I don't know exactly how tough it was. But now you have the exact same color. Mm-hmm. They are literally roughly jersey-wise the same color. Mm-hmm. So I imagine someone's not going to wear them tonight.
Yeah, I feel like the NFL just does stuff sometimes. In their head, they're oh, this will be great. And then once the game actually gets, a couple of days out, someone probably, sends an email to Goodell, hey, this happened. And he looks at it it's fine.
It's fine. We'll talk about it after the game when it becomes news.
Yeah.
It's no, let them wear those mustard yellow jerseys. The Rams are great.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, the Steelers, they look fine. Whatever. It's
hey, I love the all black ones. They're cool looking.
Those are fine. I was more thinking
There's
about
some
weird
bad
jerseys.
ones.
Well, with the Steelers, it's not those jerseys. It's the
Bumblebees. Oh, those are just little throwback ones.
Yeah,
those are back to the
those
30s.
Color Rush, but
yeah, hey, I've seen worse. Remember those yellow and baby blue Eagle throwbacks? Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, those aren't. Yeah, okay, fair.
Yeah, you'll be thinking about that for the rest of
Those aren't good either.
All right, let's take our first break. We'll come back and we'll talk MLB races that are really the wild card mainly. None of the teams in the NL Wild Card won yesterday, and yet there's still some movement at the top there. Mm-hmm. All right, we'll take a first break, come back, and we'll talk baseball here at the Golden State Media Concept Sports Podcast.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be, visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
And we're back here at the Golden State Media Concept Sports Podcast. We're going to move into baseball now and update you on some MLB standings. Start in the American League. Now, most of these divisions through the American League and the NL seem pretty decided. The Red Sox are currently 5 games up on the Toronto Blue Jays with just about a week and a half for most teams left to play. We move to the Cleveland Indians, who are 7.5 over the Detroit Tigers. Again, looks like they're going to win this one. And then I would say the most favorite of those 3 would be the Texas Rangers, who are 8.5 games up on the Houston Astros in the West. Yeah, I'd say those are pretty decided through the Central, the East, and the West. Moving to the NL and the NL East, Washington, the Nationals are ahead of the Mets, who lost last night on a very impressive play. Yeah, if you saw it,
I did.
Over the Mets, they are currently 9 games ahead of them. I would say that one's pretty probably decided. I don't even know if the team totally has 9 games left each, so probably due.
Looks like about 10, 11
Yeah, I'd say probably due, seeing as it's not completely clinched yet. The one team that has already clinched, and it's no surprise to anybody that they did so, are the Cubs, who are 17 games, a whole 17 games ahead of the St. Louis Cardinals in the Central. I would say, obviously, they have clinched that. And then the LA Dodgers in the NL West are currently 6 games up on the Giants, unless the Dodgers lost every game and the Giants went on to win every game, including their 3-game series at the end of next week, which I get to go to, by the way. Nice. Pretty excited. Early birthday present. Yeah. Actually, it's late. My birthday's the 6th.
Still birthday present.
What? Yeah. When? No, it's early actually.
As long as it's within the week. Mm-hmm. Birthday present.
True. Well, as long as it's in the month. Yeah. Unless they do that, I'm saying the Dodgers are probably winning this one as well. Right. But we move into the wild card, and that is definitely more up in the air than anything. In the AL, you have the Toronto Blue Jays with the number 1 spot, followed closely by they have their game up total. Yeah. The Orioles have the 2nd spot; they're even. Detroit, Houston, and Seattle are all separated by 1, 1, and 2. And if you want to even throw the Yankees in there, 2.5. I would say all 4 of them have a shot, relatively, at this wild card spot. In my opinion, at least.
Yeah. No, I would say up to the Yankees, because after that, you got the Royals, who are 5 back. And like I said, with 10 games, that's probably not going to happen.
It's hard to happen, yeah.
Yeah. Now, the Yankees have been a lot better recently, basically.
Yeah, they have.
They have that catcher, Sanchez, who has 19 home runs.
Yeah, Gary Sanchez, he's been playing for, the last quarter of the year.
It's 45 games. He has 19 home runs.
That's pretty good.
That's not bad.
I wonder what his average is. I'd have to look at it.
I think he's 300, something right around there. So, even just as far as hitting the ball, forget about home runs, just as far as hitting the ball, he's not doing bad either.
No, yeah, he blew onto the scene. I mean, the kid's good.
Yeah.
He I forget how many home runs he had in back-to-back games or whatever it was.
Yeah, so he's 337. Sanchez is 337, 19 home runs, 38 RBIs in 43 games.
Yeah, you got that right before I did. Nice. Yeah, he's lighting it up. So I mean, at least they have that to hang their hat on.
Yeah.
But I want to say it's going to be the Blue Jays Orioles.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know if the Astros can work their way in. I mean, again, 1 game, Baltimore, Detroit, and Houston could be very different. Mm-hmm. Houston plays against the Angels tonight, so we'll see how that goes. Baltimore, though, if I find that game real quick, Baltimore's playing
still got a game against Boston.
Yeah, against Boston tonight. That's going to be a tough one for them to win. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's just a good matchup, and the Tigers are playing at Minnesota. So I would say the most likely, in my opinion, would be that the Orioles possibly lose tonight, and then either the Houston Astros get a win,
or the Tigers.
Get a win. The Tigers are playing Minnesota. I could see that flip-flopping easy.
Oh, yeah, that's probably going to come down to the last 3 games of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Just because all of them, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 teams are all kind of mashed up for 2 spots, which is more than what the National League has.
True. And then if you want to cover all the bases, New York plays in Tampa Bay tonight.
Okay.
Who have a shot if they had more than 17 and a half games left.
Yeah,
but they don't.
No, they're pretty out of it.
Moving to the NL Wild Card, and this one's wacky in the sense of you have 3 teams currently tied with record-wise for wild card spots. Now, I think if the tiebreaker was to happen, I think it would go to the Cardinals-Mets. I forget how they do that.
Yeah, I don't know exactly. I thought I saw something that was like a crazy thing if they're all tied, what the actual tiebreaker does. But the thing that actually helps out at least for the Giants and the Mets, because the Giants, they're going to have the series against the Padres.
Yeah.
Which they're terrible. They've been terrible the whole year.
But they can't. They just got swept by the Padres.
So, yeah, there's that part, too. The Mets just got beaten down by the Braves.
Well, I wouldn't say beaten down. That was if say that home run got hit, right?
Right.
We're looking at that as just a clutch win by a good team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But he snagged it to end the game, which was very impressive.
But they're facing the Phillies, and then the Cardinals, they have to face the Cubs.
Yeah, I feel like the Cardinals are in the toughest position here.
Yeah.
The Mets have what I've heard is described as a joke end of their year.
Right.
They're traveling all over the place.
Yeah, so like I said, they got the Phillies. They're going to play them in a series. But, as far as for the rest, excuse me, for the rest of the series, after they face the Phillies, they got the Miami Marlins and then the Philadelphia Phillies again. So their series.
Yeah, they got one bad team for sure. 2 series against one very bad team in the sense of, the Philadelphia Phillies, I want to say Eagles. Philadelphia Phillies have 69 wins.
Right.
That's not very good. If you look at them in the standings, they are 11 games back from a wild card spot.
And the Marlins, they're not terrible.
The Marlins at one point were in it. In a crazy world, if these 3 teams in the top lose out, the Marlins could be in. You know what I mean? In a crazy, crazy, crazy world. I don't see that happening. I see the Cardinals, they play – you said they got the Cubs, right?
Yeah,
they just finished the series with the Cubs. They play them well. That's what division rivals do that.
Exactly, yeah.
I don't know. The Cubs are they're moving, So I find it probably hardest for the Cardinals right now. Like you said, the Giants have the Padres starting in 3 games in San Diego. You never know what those games you'd imagine. You'd like to say that they're going to win. They're obviously they're 16 games ahead of them in win-loss records. But
also for the Cardinals, after they get done with the series against the Cubs, they have the series against the Reds. Yeah, they're bad too, but then they have to face the Pirates, who they themselves only 3.5 games back.
Yeah, and also in a crazy world, the Pirates could snag a wild card spot too.
Right.
You know what I mean? So currently, as it stands, heading into tonight's games, St. Louis, the Mets, and the Giants are all tied. It's be interesting to look at tomorrow where we're at. Obviously, you could have 3 losses and no ground gained whatsoever unless maybe the Pirates win, and then you're like, make
a 4th team come
get a 4 tie.
Right.
You know what I mean? Get some crazy, crazy stuff happening there.
I would assume, just like if I had to guess, I would say it probably would be the Giants and Mets.
Would you go by home wins? Because if that's the case, the Cardinals were abysmal at home at one point.
Right. Well, no, I just I'd have more. I'd have more.
Oh, you're talking teams winning.
Teams winning at
Sorry, let's talk about tiebreakers again.
Yeah, it'd be the 2 teams at the end of the season, just because the Mets, their schedule's really easy, and the Giants have
the Padres and I know for sure the Padres and then I know they play the Dodgers again, but I don't know if they have a break in between.
So I would have. If I had to bet, I would bet on them. But the Giants, just the bullpen is just so
bad.
So bad.
Yeah, they have the Padres.
Yeah, they got the Padres, and then they have the Rockies, and they have the Dodgers.
Oh, they got the Rockies? The Rockies laid it on them the last time they played.
Right, and, they're going to be not in Colorado, but you still have a division team coming in, so that's always going to be difficult.
West team, yeah. So 4 games against San Diego. 3 against Colorado, and then literally your last 3 games, just how they wrote it up back in the day, home against the LA Dodgers. I get to go to the Friday and Saturday games of those.
Are they going to have? I don't think they will. Are they going to have Vin Scully travel to that game at all?
Yes.
They are?
So Vin Scully. So before we take a break, I want to say that I'm pretty sure this is what they're doing because I don't think it was this last one that they just finished. But Vince Scully, his first game he ever went to, he was in middle school or whatever, high school.
Mm-hmm.
He said 60 years ago or something.
Yeah.
80 years ago, whatever it was. He was young.
Right. He started in 1950.
Yeah. When his first game ever he went to was a Giants game.
Yeah.
And he became a rabid Giants fan, he said.
Okay.
And so he said it'll be 80 because I guess he was 8 years old or whatever it was. It's the first time he ever went to a game. And this is obviously when they were the New York Giants.
Right.
And he became a diehard Giants fan, and then eventually he started working for the Dodgers, came across the country with them and all that stuff.
Right.
His last broadcast, 80 years to the day apparently, will be the San Francisco Giants.
Wow.
Yeah. Pretty cool, right?
I mean, that's kind of insane. Wow.
Right.
Yeah. I didn't know he was started off as a Giants fan.
Yeah. I mean, if you were in New York in that era, it was who do you want to be a fan of? You know what I mean? It's because it's not like in California where if you're closer to San Diego, obviously you'd be more of a Padres fan, or LA, you can kind of pick and choose, depending on how you kind of styles of baseball you like, the Bay Area, you got two teams to choose from, but if you're an NL fan, obviously Giants or so on and so forth. But in New York, it was all kind of the same.
Yeah.
There wasn't a Buffalo team or anything, so you could be a Giants fan, you could be a Dodger fan, or you could be a Yankee fan.
Yeah.
And you're kind of rich in baseball lore.
Yeah,
back then.
Yeah, back then. I mean, not at that time. Maybe when he was 8 years old, but the Yankees have had a stupid historic history of players. Dodgers, you had Sandy Koufax. Giants, you had Willie Mays. You had great people to root for.
Mm-hmm. And you look at anytime I see the Giants go playing the Mets, or when they play those off interleague games against the Yankees, there's always huge crowds for the Giants there. I mean, there's always a lot of crowd for the Giants I've seen in the last few years, a lot of places. But there's still people there that love them.
Oh yeah, totally.
All right, well, let's take our last break. We'll come back and we'll move to basketball for the first time in a while on the podcast. And since it's now off season, of course, and we'll talk some Kevin Garnett news. Bet you wouldn't have guessed we said that name. Is he going to retire? I don't know. All right, we'll take our last break, come back, and talk basketball here at the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast.
Do you want to be healthier, yet you just don't know what to do? All these shows telling you this and that, but nothing seems to work. Well, listen close. Golden State Media Concepts has got something great for you. The Health and Wellness Podcast dedicated to workout trends, healthy eating habits, diet, and everything about healthy living. Join us in our banters as we help you not just live life to the fullest, but live it to the healthiest.
And we're back here at the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, and we're going to talk our latest and last news of the day, and that is in the world of the NBA, and that is Kevin Garnett, the great basketball player, won championships, obviously, with the Celtics, played for the Minnesota Timberwolves for a long time. Well, apparently him and those said Timberwolves are in advanced discussions on a contract settlement that is expected to end his second stint with the team, according to sources. The belief in Minneapolis is that Garnett, who is currently 40, will opt for retirement after his 21st season last season in the NBA. I'll say NFL. Apparently, strongest signals Wednesday pointed that Garnett and his representatives have secured a settlement with the Wolves, and that will lead to his departure from the organization with one season and roughly $8 million left on his contract. And apparently, to add to the story, they haven't talked for weeks.
Yeah, it seems like he kind of is ready to kind of be done with everything else. He's been the kind of sage veteran, for the Timberwolves with Andrew Wiggins, Karl Anthony Towns, and all of them. He's been the guy that's kind of been helping them out as far as how to navigate through the NBA, especially with Wiggins or Towns coming after a year in college. You need someone that's just okay, do this, don't do this, kind of stuff like that. So
especially him to say it.
Right. He's been in the league 20 years.
He's always done it the right way.
Yeah, he hasn't ever had any kind of controversy really.
As far as I know, yeah.
He's just been a crazy person sometimes, just yelling at
everybody.
Yell, yeah, that's all he really has.
Anything is possible.
Yeah, he's just been sort of insane. But as far as a player goes, I mean, let's say Kevin Garnett does retire.
Yeah.
That would leave, because we just had a Hall of Fame class of Allen Iverson, Yao Ming, and Shaquille O'Neal, which is really great. Maybe one of the best of all time.
I wonder if you could hear that food truck on our recording.
Yeah.
We have a cool food truck that does. I think. What is that? This song?
I don't know what that song is, but
You recognize it, though, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they come all the time and they drive through the back of here.
Okay.
And it's not usually that loud, but it's great. The place it's good. If you ever hear it later in the day, they come back around here like around noon.
Food trucks are always generally good. Just as like a rule of thumb, like
you gotta be smart which ones you pick.
That's fine. And when I say it's good, I mean it's good when you eat the food.
Yes.
Like that part, it's great.
Later on, not so much.
Later on, different story. But anyways, so okay, let's say Garnett is retired. Like let's say he's
Okay.
like, all right, I'm done. I want to retire. You have the Hall of Fame class potentially of him, Kobe, and Duncan.
Yeah.
Which would the worst of all three of them is 15 All-Star games with him and Doug. That's the worst. You know, Kobe's got 18. That's the worst. The worst is just one championship with Garnett.
Yes.
The worst is just one NBA Most Valuable Player with both Kobe and Garnett. Like all of them have done.
And even that is really good.
Right. Even that's fantastic. Like, you know, you've got like All-Star Game MVPs. You got all defensive first teams for these players. Like the lists for both of them are just like Duncan might be the best power forward of all time. Kobe's maybe the second best shooting guard of all time, and Garnett's top 5 or 10 power forwards of all time. So like those three of them retiring, like anybody else that's like going to retire, like Amari Stoudemire or anybody else that's retiring, it's like, okay, you had a good career, solid job, good by you. These three are going, and then maybe we can have one more.
Yeah, maybe we'll see.
Maybe we'll let.
They're all first ballot guys.
Oh, they're both like, let them in.
It's like if Tom Brady, Peyton Manning,
right,
and Fitzgerald all retired at the same time.
Yeah.
Or Peterson. It's like, okay, well, they're getting in first ballot, and we'll see about the rest of that year.
Yeah.
Sorry, senior guys, whoever's been waiting for a while. Sorry, anybody was maybe this is my year. 5 years from now, they're in.
Yeah.
So I get what you mean. I mean, yeah, he was drafted all the way back in '95, and he's one of the guys who came from high school to the NBA.
These are the last. Maybe there's
one of
more.
the last ones.
I think Carter. Maybe Vince Carter's the only one like that's still from like the '90s.
I would have to look because I know the once Woodson retired, there's no obviously and then Peyton.
That
nobody
was
named.
the 90s.
And that's the last '97 or '98. Excuse me, the year he was in. You have Brady from '98 or '99.
Okay.
But I forget how many people are left from the '90s in the NBA, or excuse me, in the NFL. But yeah, I think Carter, and that might be it.
Maybe Andre Miller. Andre Miller might still be there. Andre Miller's 97 years old. He's
I want to say Caron Butler, maybe only because Caron Butler looks like a 60-year-old man.
He does.
So if he was drafted, that's when it was.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, he had a kind of wacky end to his career, but Garnett, he's definitely a Hall of Famer.
He got just like looking up like random stuff, like the worst for like because they're great offensive players, great defensive players. 8-time NBA All Defensive First Team was the worst.
Jeez,
like
that's insane to think about.
Like these guys have been.
Yeah, man, you suck. You only got 8.
Right, exactly, and that's just first team. Like forget about second or third team. That's just like the first.
I'll take fourth team. Okay.
I will take just being in the NBA shooting threes from the corner. Like I will take that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
understandable.
Now you have. I mean, people who you've been used to for a long time. They're all kind of slowly getting out of here. You still have Dirk Nowitzki.
Dirk's my favorite basketball player.
Yeah, and Dirk is.
I'm not a Mavericks fan, but Dirk's my favorite.
No, and he's like between him, Paul Pierce might be someone from the '90s too.
Yeah, I don't know when Paul Pierce.
But between like them, you have people who, and Andre Miller was 1999. So like you still have a couple of people from the '90s.
Call.
But yeah, like you have these people who like, at least for myself, who I've seen the entire time I've been watching basketball, who are now leaving. Vince Carter is one of my favorite players of all time. He's got a year maybe left because he's not a good player anymore.
Paul Pierce, 98.
Paul Pierce, 98.
So he was, he's drafted then.
Yeah, you have these like now slowly retired players who, at one time were the best in the league, or at least one of the best in the league, but now they're all retiring. Vince Carter, 1998. So you have like a very short number of players who you've just been accustomed to the whole time who are still in the league.
Yeah, there's nobody left from the 90s excluding – I guess they might say Brady was drafted in 2000, so there you go on that. As of this February in the NBA, there's 11 current players that were drafted in 98, in the 90s, and of course that is excluding the one that we've been talking about, Jason Terry, 99.
Okay.
We have Metta World Peace, 99. Again, who knows if he's going to be playing this year, though.
I think he just signed with the Lakers.
Like, re-signed him,
Because the Lakers.
Andre Miller, like you said.
Right.
Elton Brand, 1999. Manu Ginobili, 99. Paul Pierce, like I said, 98. Dirk was 98, like you said. Vince Carter's 98, like you said. And then we have Duncan, who probably looking like he's going to retire.
Yeah.
Kobe, obviously, 96. And Kevin Garnett, 95. Garnett, obviously, the oldest player left in the league, though. So
1988, a very solid draft. Vince Carter, number 5. I don't know why he went to number 5, but he got him at 5, Dirk at 9, and Paul Pierce at 10.
Yeah, that's a pretty good draft.
It's not bad. I mean, you start off with Oliver Candy, number 1 overall. That's not the best.
No.
You know,
there's been better first overall picks.
I mean, there's been worse ones probably, too.
Probably.
Cleveland has something to talk about with that, with Anthony Bennett. He's not exactly been the best.
Yeah, that LeBron James fella.
He's okay. Yeah, so I mean, you still have a handful of players who, I mean, Vince Carter at this point is just like, I want a ring.
Yeah.
Like, he tried all he could in Toronto. He tried in New Jersey. Now he's just like, I want a ring. Please give me a ring. Dirk is just, I mean, Dirk has his ring. Dirk's one of the best of all time. He's just kind of like still there.
He's just shooting hoops, man.
And it's not hard from the two. It's not like Vince Carter, whose body probably hurts a little bit.
Or Tim Duncan slowly started kind of easing off at the end of the year.
Right.
Dirk's just doing his step back hooks.
He's just got a 17-foot jumper. You know, he's got
Beautiful.
those. Paul Pierce has had the old man game since he was 21 years old.
Yeah, Paul Pierce has always looked like he's 50.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, was it C.J. Spiller? I remember when he was drafted, they're like, you don't look like a rookie, you look 40. Because it's his face.
Yeah.
You know? He has an old face. Same thing with...
he's got that Greg Oden.
Mm-hmm.
That Greg Oden thing.
Yeah, Greg Oden looked like a 40-year-old dad about to pick his kid up from school.
Greg Oden looked like Bill Russell by the time he was getting into the draft.
Yeah, but when he was drafted, he looked like Bill Russell. Like in the current day, Bill Russell.
Yeah, the current day Bill Russell, not 1965.
Yeah. Oh man, that was funny. That's a good way. I think that's a good way to end the show. That was funny. Well, tomorrow you'll be back.
Yes.
And Ben will be here.
Yeah.
I imagine you guys will recap tonight's football.
Probably, yeah.
Probably. And if you want, I'll give you my blessing. You can even update the people on what happened in the world of baseball today, too.
Okay.
And then again, of course, whatever you want. Talk cool sports and things of that nature. Metta World Peace, like you said, is back with Lakers on a 1-year deal, so maybe you guys can talk about how amazing he is.
I mean, he's just going to be that same thing that, like, hold on. Garnett's the veteran presence because he's been good. Metta...
He's a
veteran presence.
Annoyance.
But I think also he'd be one of those players that's just like, don't do this. Why are you saying that? YouTube Malice at the Palace.
Yeah,
don't do that.
Exactly.
See, I did this. Don't do that.
Yeah, don't change your name to Metta World Peace.
Right. And then it wasn't the Panda's friend for a second?
Probably.
Like, it was that, like, for a little bit, he was referring to himself as the Panda's friend or whatever, but now he's still just Metta World Peace.
Or you can, maybe go out of your way to say, hey, don't get up in the stands and fight a fan.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
That was the most entertaining in a bad way, though. I hate to say it. Most entertaining basketball game I ever watched.
I think because I got back, I think I was at like a wedding at that time, or I was in something, and I got back later that night, and this is before Twitter and everything else, and I watched the TV, I watched SportsCenter, and it's just like everyone's losing their minds.
Yeah, I was like, wait, why did he fight that man?
Yeah.
What happened?
He fought the wrong guy.
He
fought the right guy. He just fought some dude that like he thought it was.
He didn't care.
No.
And that was the essence of Metta World Peace before he was Metta World Peace.
And then you got his boy Steven Jackson, who was just like, "Oh, we're gonna fight. Let's fight."
Yeah, let's do it, man. That was when basketball was the Wild Wild West.
Yes,
from the mid '90s to the mid 2000s.
I heard a story because they interviewed Steven Jackson about this like years and years later.
Mm-hmm.
They were saying, okay, give me a story about that night. With Ron Artest being a little bit insane person, give us a story about that. And he's like, all right. So after it all happened, everybody was fighting, everything. They went back to the locker rooms to cool off and everything else like that. Steven Jackson's like, I'm going to get fired. I'm going to get, this is like, I'm done.
I'm going to get fired.
I can't survive this. I literally just fought the customer. Like, that's not going to go well for me. Mm-hmm. Artest is, insane, just in the locker room, looks over at Steven Jackson. He's like, do you think we're going to get in trouble for this? Like, dead serious. Do you think we're going to get in trouble for this? And Jackson's like, we're lucky if we stay in the league.
You think so, Ron?
You think this is going to be bad?
Ron. Makes me think of Anchorman. Oh, why'd you do it? Why'd you do it, Ron? Yeah, he was a crazy character. When he retires, that definitely have a top 10 of his craziest moments.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. All right, well, hey, let's get out of here. You and I have a football show to tape with Jeremiah.
Yep.
So you'll be back tomorrow. I will see you guys on Monday. We'll have a week to recap the NFL week and preview the Monday Night Football game. Now, you're not with us on Mondays, right?
No, Wednesday, Friday.
Okay. So he will be back tomorrow if you can't get enough of him. And Ben will be back tomorrow as well. And they will do a wonderful job, I imagine, with bringing you the news.
Yep.
Until then, I'd like to thank you guys for listening. You can always find us on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and Google Play at the GSMC Podcast Network. But you search GSMC_sports on Twitter and Instagram, and then anywhere on those streaming websites, it said GSMC Sports Podcast. You can find us on our website, GSMCpodcast.com, with the portfolio of all of our shows, as well as on Instagram, like I said, and Twitter. Don't forget those. YouTube as well, GSMC Podcast. Any of those, you'll find our network page, the Sports Podcast, of course. And you can find us on Facebook, the network, and each individual page. As always, I'd like to thank you for listening. I'm Alex.
And I'm Anthony.
And we will see you guys next time. Thanks, and have a good rest of your day.